Hi, welcome to this video where we're going to now look at the grading tab on DaVinci Resolve. We've already brought the clips in using our media pool. In our editor, we just drop the clips in. So these are the clips on the exercise file. And then we're going to jump to color. So we're just looking at the color correction and grading here. So this is what our sort of interface generally looks like. You might find yours looks slightly different. It just depends on the amount of space, firstly, you have on the screen. Also, things like scopes you can pull out by pressing this little button here. It will sort of show scopes. So it might be a case of that you can't see the scopes, you can press that, or you can right click show scopes by right clicking on your window, but you'll need those. Now, you can see on mine it sort of shows parade as well, so you can change what you're actually looking at. I can see a waveform where all the RGB signals are all on top of overlaid on top of each other. I've got my vector scope that I can kind of look at on here, or finally a histogram. But the two that we're primarily interested in are going to be a waveform and a vector scope. At that point, which waveform you use, whether it's parade or overlay, is up to you. Yeah, so what I would suggest is, I think generally, like I said, you can right click, go show scopes, and what that will do is you'll see they've disappeared from there. What happens is they usually appear as a floating panel, so that can be quite helpful, especially if you've got a second screen that you can sort of just set them up on. And you'll see by default it's showing us all the scopes, which we don't really need, I would say, when we're working. So you'll see at the top here you've got the ability to use just 1, 2, or all 4. So if I press that, it just shows me these two, and it's showing me parade and waveform. And actually, what I want is, well, I prefer my waveform on the left, and on the right, I'd like a vector scope. So that's basically what I want to see. Now, in this example, I'm just going to sort of leave this here in the corner so you can kind of keep an eye on it. So obviously, I am covering a few of the panels, but we're not going to need those just yet. Not in these early exercises, so it's not too big a deal. So I'll just keep that there, so that you can at least see those as I'm working through. Apart from that, I've got our playhead here, so it should allow me to just skip through and look at all the individual video clips I want to. Should be able to just click the video clips as well if I want to jump through that way. Okay, and what you'll see is actually your waveform and your vector scope change every time we go onto a new clip. Okay, so they represent that. Now the vector scope is a bit difficult to see, so I'm going to click on the settings button here. Sorry, you can see just to the right, and I'm going to just turn up the brightness a bit. That's the vector scope itself, and the graticule. Here we go, that's better there. So if we do that, you can see it's just brightening it up. Okay, so there we go, that's making that bit brighter, and there we go, just makes it a little bit easier to see. Do have the ability to zoom in if you wish as well, so it's a little bit larger. Skin tone indicator is this line here, so all skin tones generally should be around there. So if you've got people in the shop, you want to make sure you've got a red line running along there. I'll leave that off for now. We don't have any in any of these shots. Okay, and let's just have a look. If we turn that off, we can turn off the actual grid, but I'm going to want that on. Okay, click off it and it should just disappear. So that hopefully makes it a little bit easier to see. Let's have a quick look actually what our waveform has. Similar kind of thing, brightness settings and so on. And you can also adjust the reference values that we see. If we do that, do we actually just bring it down? I don't know if it just kind of disappears below there. Not too sure. Okay, but I'm happy with the way that's displaying. So let's start by just looking at our displays, what's going on. So we have our video image here. We have a waveform which represents generally the light information, and a vector scope which represents the color, and you're going to want to look at all three. So it's not a case of just using one. You want to use all three views to understand what's going on in the picture. So let's have a look at the first one. So our very bottom value here is our blacks, and then so this is represent like a 10-bit image. So we've got 1024 values, 0 being a value, hence why it ends at 1023. So there's our brightest value there, our sort of whitest white that we can have in the image, and 0, which is our black. And so looking at the first image, we can see it's a little washed out. It doesn't really have anything that's black, and it doesn't have anything that's white. It's sort of in the middle. but hence why the colors aren't that strong here. But you can see the grass and so on is all kind of down here really value wise. Yeah, it's the sort of the darkest bits, and that is really just the sky. Notice you've got these couple of dips here. And again, remember, left to right on a vector scope represents left to right on our video image. And if you look there, you've got that cloud. Don't know if you can see that very well here, but and you've got another one there. And that's what these slightly darker elements will represent. So if we go to our next clip, you can see this clip. It's quite dark. It's underexposed because we do have elements in here I would expect to be white. Okay, little reflections like coming through the window, and yet nothing is really at that point. Everything is sitting down here. So again, overall, that's just a dark image. Now you might be like, I could see that it's a dark image, but again, we want to confirm that using our vector scope, our waveform. And then same thing with this one, even darker. You can see the values just completely drop, even though it's the same area that's being framed. So it's not even, it's a lot darker. And then going around to this one, so we've got again a motorway image, where if we look at it, I'm sure there's some elements in there we could say should be white and some elements that should be black. And yet again, we've got nothing that is touching either of those points. So we'd probably want to adjust that. And just to give you a quick example with the next one, what we'll see is, okay, so this is a little bit brighter, but again, still a bit washed out. Notice with the vector scope this time, what happens is it really leans towards the blue. And again, we can see that here. So we can tell that there's a blue color cast. Now again, like I said, we could see that, but it's always worth confirming against the two. Okay, and also bear in mind that just because a vector scope says blue doesn't mean there's anything wrong. If I had a picture of just the sea and the sky, chances are it'd all be blue. So you always have to kind of rely on both to get a full understanding of what's going on. And this probably gives us a better sense of where things should be anyway. So we need the vector scope cloud here to kind of move into the center. So we're going to have to correct that. With the others, you'll kind of see sort of generally they'll be leaning towards individual colors, but that kind of makes sense. There's a blue pan there, so there's going to be a bit of blue, and the rest of the values are kind of equally distributed off the center. Okay, so first thing we've done is just kind of go through and identify what, if any, issues there are with the images. Now that we've done that, we can actually start correcting them by using our tools. So we'll look at that next.